Hi everyone, it's me. It's Jen Peck from Mind's Eye, and I want to talk today about a look in, a bit of a deep dive about Appalachian and Appalachian magic, Appalachian folklore, the lore, the type of energies that surround that area, what they've been going through recently, and everything about it. Because this is something that is heavily what they call contented gated. And when something is contented gated, when it's such a community, it is such a go about, it is such a knowing that you can't even do something. There's reasons why you got to close the curtains and the windows at night. There's a reason why you got to close the doors. They will literally put words in your mouth. So bad. The next day, if you hear your name, it's done. D-O-N-E. D-O-N-E. There's something about that area that's still highly mysterious that they believe it. They believe it. They do their own. Okay, so there's this thing called due process. And when someone is a magician, they get called upon usually as due process. When you are due process, you are trained highly in law and legal and law enforcement to military on trying to do something on a litigate and mitigate to get it DONE on a judgment pass to bring somebody into custody. And it's really rare. And the requirements for that is basically a regimented issue of illegal type of activity that you can't contain, maintain, and you can't sustain very well. Like it, think of like the 90s when the Crips and the Bloods were in heinous reign. They had to do a little bit of due process then because they just couldn't control anything. So basically, they had to use magic. And it's all people who were severely injured on their ends. So basically, these people were so intoxicated and went into their body and stayed put and used illegal substances that they were actually harmed the victim, where they would be psychic and they were able to learn how to throw energy and use everything about themselves, their mind, body, and soul completely, legally and lawfully. And that's one of the little known factors of what has happened in society. But when they do their own, they will literally look at their own child and say, "You're going to prison at this day and this time when I tell you to." They're very harsh sitting on the porch with their jug. They will look at you through their soul back and forth. I mean, they can cast energy so bad. It gives a feeling. It is a true stay away feeling. Now, in my area, it is Appalachian rooted, meaning it was the grain of the grandfather, the moonshine, to the illegal Tanqueray to get it done. They had to have plants. I see the mountains. Uh, my husband's family is showing me in the afterlife a little bit because I am still what's called outcast source. I am to be known but not known, and I am to be alone and in all forms of that meaning by myself on a loan at a deeming to get it done. So I'm only on loan at times. So when I say I can't get it done, that literally means that. So when my family calls upon me and says, "You got to get it done," that means what? It means they come first. He literally has to go, and my husband, when they call upon him, always. And then my children, when asked to. Yep. So that means to come and visit And then also twice, only twice a year. It is a type of energy of a corrective action toward uh, the individual, saying, I'm putting you in your place until you get done. And it's not always a corrective action of legal judicial, like a slap on the hand. It was a noted of sometimes an energy of illness or anything like that. And it was a stay obey. Just stay obey and do what you can, but you got to pay. You got to pay. So they're very wisdom noted, noticed, noticeable. But let me tell you, when they do heinous rain, it's just by a sip of tea, a sip of their drink, and it's done. They're really good with energy and magic. They're really good at making someone cry. They're really good because when they make them cry, it's not to make them feel bad, it's to make them actually uh crack open because there's so much hardened residual in the mind, body, and soul that they crack open potential. And in today's society, that seems so mean, so mean. Usually the only time they curse is usually one word, one letter, and one number. And it's all in conjunction of something happening. It's a type of universal law that they understand. Now, with that being said, you must do course. So when I hear it, I say, yes, I understand. So when we do it, we all go about and we know about. So they NO it, they KNOW it, and they KNO it, knock it out. And when they say that, and then they swing sometimes beads, so they do it like this, they can see energy, and it could be just a towel, it could be just a string of beads, it could be something of a rope, something that they made that they just did a quick toss, and they say, she's perfected. But in reality, not verse or perversed. The Lely Lament is a course of anew, to be anew, of a boo, of a shoe, of a do, of a goo, of a loo. So basically, in translation, that means if you come toward me or my property with ill criminal intent, that you will be a bay and made a loo. And when that means it's basically made crazy, it's really hard to explain how it all got done. But when they migrated here, it was on the lower socioeconomic status of England. Now, the lore states, which is hard to explain, but in simple terms, lore is a type of cast out. It is a getting out energy. And when they do lore and they do a cast out, that means they cry because it really does hurt. It means that some things have to go and some things do not. And they understand that. And it seems really harsh, but when you see the Ace of Spades, it says they must go on and they must do it because it was deemed by the universe and they can't say anything. The energy in the universe can't say anything. The Ace of Diamonds says it is a course like. So when you look at the diamond and you see how they did their cast out, they do get a gain, but it's not for selfish intent. It's a gift from someone who's leaving. The Six of Diamonds says they are a group together. They usually stay together. It's a large community, but sparse and spread out. They're like, that's how strong they are from Appalachia. They heard it. They literally heard it. They really are contented on the way it played out with FEMA. And that's all you need to know. So when you see the Ace of Spades, you say it was a cutout known to be alone, LOAN, because the gain came through and gave me a two. So means it was meant to make people alone, what came through on a storm, and how they can't get alone for FEMA. And then when it all boiled out and everything, it was I got some of my family back. But what is happening towards it was universal, what they call karma. It was meant to happen. We don't do karma. It's given, not by us. So when we say your name out loud and you hear it, that means you're sound. It means you're formidable. And it means you can be a source to get through our need. And so their need at this time, that community, is a type of bread. It is showing them inheritance, their gifts, their pertinence. Their pertinence is what really makes them stand out as their gift, like their soul created their own gift. The Nine of Spades says it is a standout alone. Now, the Ace of Hearts says that is so much love that they're quiet. And that the Four of Clubs says just go on and keep gaining. A GANE for Appalachians means you get fish, you get deer, you get fox and raccoon, you get everything you need to maintain and sustain yourself in a way to a run. And so when you away to a run, you're living out everything. When these people move about in their day, they actually command the earth in a way unknown. That their energy is so forceful that when they're at rest, you can hear it. And then when they're actually moving society. And that's the same too with Native Americans. That's the same too with other cultures that are these subgroups that they know how to move their energy so well. So when I'm seeing this, the Nine of Hearts, it's a given. It's a given. The Queen of Spades says, the one that commands, the matriarch, the mother, is the one who gives the gift. And that the King of Hearts is the one, it's the father that maintains it and secures it for protection. The Jack of Spades says there's one who will watch over, and they are a jack of all trades on cutting out something on preservation. So when you see the King of Spades, you say, there's always one in the bunch who walks around and says, no, law. And you look and you just say, yeah, they have the same personality, but in reality, they're really individuals who have suffered ends. That's all they are. They live out off the grid. That is what I'm seeing as a psychic. The Seven of Clubs says it's really hard to maintain. So we live off the grid, and our medical care really comes from the earth. Like we've learned to cultivate and how to make ourselves so good and recovery from illness and infection that we're actually susceptible, highly susceptible. So when we do that, we go, the Queen of Diamonds comes in and says, that is more than enough, more than enough. How often? Generations, it's not uncommon at all. The Eight of Hearts goes, we give a gift though, because it's known, and those who pass by when we give a gift, it's known when it's meant to be known. So the eight of diamonds says when we curse, when we spell, when we enchant and charm with our folklore and our lore and the Wendigo and all those myths that come in, it really is a scarcity. And when we see scarcity, it means it's kind of a put off of a put away of a fear, but there really is nothing to fear. But you need to listen to us when we say, shut your windows and close your blinds and lock your door, because that meant we heard it to the ear of the ground that there was coming through. So when the Four of Hearts goes, no, this group, there's usually four that like to stick together. And then there's usually nine in a group. And then there's usually 11 to a 12 to a 14, 13, depending on the day. And they sit there and they just eat and they hydrate and they sit and they make do. And they make do. And when they make do, it's not a due process. It's not making anyone criminal. It's not doing anything of that. What you couldn't do is the nine of spades, and you say, yeah, I caught it. I caught it. That's coming through hard, 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 hard. The nine of clubs says there's a club, there's a group, and they get through, and you can't even do it enough. The five of clubs goes, it's fun. They get along. They're just like anyone else, but they are different. They are superstitious. We all are to a degree. So when we see it, two of spades says when you go through, you must be matched. So a lot of them are matched already because that person who they're going to marry, they stick with them for many years to come. It's almost a soul union, and that they've known each other for a very long time. And it's to create energy balance within both of them. The 10 of diamonds says that type of inheritance is lost. So a lot of times it is cultural on how they do it, but also too, it is susceptible, as they say, to the law of cemented community. So a lot of them, I see they bounce their leg. They do this. What they're doing is just picking up energy, and they just do this, and they're just inviting the energy. Um, I don't see snapping of fingers. I don't see anything of that. But in reality, you see a whole lot of things. They don't speak a whole lot because they are susceptible of words in the mouth. That's what they want us to say. Um, the light seer's tarot. It is hard. It's very hard. So I'm seeing the history of Appalachians, and when they came over here, they did have a Cockney accent, kind of like me. And when that happened, you couldn't do and you couldn't do due process and you couldn't do religion and you couldn't do anything that you should be practicing. But they knew their heart's desire, as they say, and they knew what they should be doing as far as biblical times were going. And they're showing me 1879 right now. And this is hard energy to pull out of history. But there's something about unskilled work when they came through, but they had a lot of logic. They were able to cut away. That's almost what they call a type of uh, person who earned a title called, I hate to say it, a witcher. A witcher is a high priestess to a sorceress who can command the energy to cut away at it so harshly and sharply that they didn't even know it was cut away. So when they see it, it was a spur of the moment when they came over here, a flight of a whim, and they were with their matches when they migrated. And it was a new journey, and it seemed like a reckless endeavor, but it was meant for security, absolute security. And when we had this, you couldn't even see it at all. See it at all. There was like an incomplete cycle. So when I ended up looking at this, it was a type of securement that they couldn't steal. And it was breaking of partnerships to a type of communication unknown that they show me is very indicative of Betsy Ross. And when we couldn't get it, you weren't attuned. It was unfulfilled wishes. It was something not manifested. So it was concrete, fated destiny. So written, but not written. So basically, it was written for them to have an incident or multiple incidences, which forced them fated to do something that was not written, but made by the universal correction. So when you look at this, the Seven of Pentacles says not rooted, not planted. So that's when they started doing rooting. And when they did rooting, rooting means going to other places and migrating where they can settle down again and come out. And when they call lament, it goes, yes, there it is, unguarded. I do see the lack of like monetary security as far as legal and law. I do see that the physicians go up there. I do see that they do take care of their own mostly. There is a degree of like poverty in everything, but they're really, really stoic people. They really are. When you see this, the difficulty uphill, it really is literal and figurative because there was no logic to live off the grid in a land of time, as they say, where everything is electronical. Their words, not mine. But it is difficult, especially when you are new to the society and you see that the Five of Cups has like an apathy. No, no. What basically will happen is that it can change the bone structure of you and the soft tissue. It does heal really well, but you're very stone and very stoic and stone face to apathetic looking with like where they would say you need mental health counseling. And you don't, you really don't. You sometimes you have a hard time talking because you actually were yelling so much and trying to get it out, what had happened. So the Six of Wands says, then they have no victory. For them, it really is a victory at times. The Seven of Cups means grandiose thoughts. No, no, they do what's called transcending, which is a type of meditative state, a higher consciousness. When they sit and they're relaxing, they go into this type of higher consciousness, what they call astral projecting and not astral planing. Astral planing is when your soul leaves your body quickly and comes back. It comes in and says, I got a download and I know it. So the Eight of Swords says it is a type of deceit. It is a type of hiding. It is a type of healing. So a lot of times after someone has suffered that type of crime towards them, if it is happened in that generation, as they say, it ends up being you must ground in nature. So it's really good to get outside afterwards and take your time. So when I see the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, it was not well thought out because it really makes us cry. It really makes us cry on how true it was. And again, it really is a stoic individual, usually in those communities, that sits there and says, no, this is what's real, real. This is the truth. That's all you need to know. So let's look at the wood runes and let's look at the black obsidian runes. They're very soft spoken. So they'll also do that. So when I see this, I feel hard. I feel hard. And it means wealth, but also ash. I see a degree of acid reflux with them. Their living is barter. I do see something of a silver. I do see a type of trolling, but it's like a trolling when they do this, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going to get it out of you. It is a gift. They're healers. They're very strong in energy. I do see their warrior like a militia like, but law enforcement like sheriff. They're the ones that hold the power. And that's all you need to know. As far as their living, like their housing, it is simplish, but it makes do. Like it's designed the way it is that it's needed for them. Needed means what they need, Needed, but needed, Knead. So making their bread, their work, their products of their work to where it all comes down, where they bank on it, they save it. It literally shows that when they actually burn, they get through harsher to make a freeze. And when they would need to make a freeze is what a cut and a curse out is. They're very proactive. They're very preventative to where they can say it sat well and it sat well. So when it sat in us long enough to go, nope, no can do, it meant that already that what has been taken away from them for many generations was going to be taken away again, and they're going to put a stop block on it. So when it came through, is it defensive? Is it against the law to do that? Is it a true curse? It is all reflective. Because when you look at Nuremberg and something that somebody would say, well, that was an act of war towards me. That was a declare of war. And that was like a preemptive strike towards us. I have every right to say a curse because it was a continuance on. The matter of the fact is that depending on the nature of the situation of everyone, some actually remember who they are from a past life. And if it's a continuance on, that's why in witchcraft, you have to be very careful when it comes to dealing with energy and then also dealing with how you cast it out and how you send it out to who you send it out. Because in the next life, you could be dealing with them again and if it's worth it, but you also must protect the innocent and the living and nature. You have a call to duty. So when you flip nature, which means you flip the course of the person coming towards you, it is what's called a gabo. And in that, a gabo is a type of like an arrow where I see even Native Americans, when they get their bow and arrow from many generations, it meant to go out and hunt what was due. So when this would happen, what was due? It was due, it was known what would come towards them with ill intent and criminal intent to cause havoc. And when you hear it, you go, was this a ride through? So when I see Rideau with Appalachian, I see a continuance on. It flowed well. So when they want to show me their water source, it is spring fed. They look for rocks and rock formation that is perfected. So when they see it and they say that rock is living, that's no good, but this one is created dead, that means there's just no airspace for biomes and molecules or anything like that to get through the water. They almost wake up and they say, "No, I already know what to do. I already know that you can leave this on the stove for 3 days without refrigeration." They just know how to preserve everything up to canning perfectly without a pressure cooker. When they look at birch, they say birch shavings when you actually have to do burn and cast out and keep things at bay causes such stir disrupt that when I look back into my videos of the Salem witch trials, when they had to have a window of opportunity towards those criminals that were doing heinous things, they used birch. So when it went to a hidden game. I don't see hidden games with there, but they can definitely identify it high. It is such like when they say luck, they will spell and boil it down to a three. And they're very good with numbers in their head, though not written out. They're highly intuitive and instinctive to a degree of psychic, which means they can gauge energy with just a look to the eye and say, yeah. And that's called a psychic glimpse. They see a lot at night, they're dreaming. And it usually once they get to that point of high knowing where they are a source of information, they usually stop dreaming. So when they have a dream, that's actually a premonition for a lot of psychics. Their wealth is secured in a way unknown. It'll never be known. It gives such joy that you can't even understand the power that they still have after multitude of generations living in the mountains in solitude, where they can't wait to actually move about because it was foretold and told to them exactly when to move and how to move. So we'll go to the Black Obsidian runes, and then we'll go to the Animal Oracle. They're highly connected to the animals. They're very strong. Strength wise, they're pretty fit, even though they may not look at it. At night is their strongest for recovery. And that's all you need to know. Gifting. When I see gifting, I do see cultural, like certain times of the year, not to be known. And then when they do have what they call Woon Ho, it means their type of celebrations. It's usually unbeknownst and quiet. But when they do, it is a type of a trolling of everything when they're showing me this, that they're keeping the motion and the momentum of the movement going of what they call and what they heard of years to come of patriots. And they're showing me the movie The Patriot. And when they see this man who was just living out his life and he had already fought a war and he wanted to settle down and he has his children and then his wife passes and it's just part of life. it goes to where all of a sudden a disrupt so simple is a cause for war and uprooting. So don't worry sometimes. I hear them echoing. It is go about, go about. That is their way of saying don't worry about it. Go about. So when you look at it and I hear the word wealth, but I hear the ash trees say, when you lament for free, meaning you cried on your own because of your emotions, they consider it so strong and so stoic, but also a true hurt, like an injury to the mind, body, and soul. So when I see them have children and give birth, normal home birth, normal home birth. They're almost genius like. So when you see this and heritage, it will cause havoc depending on who it was given to. Living. They are truly people who are living. They're not apparitions. They're not ghosts. They're not anything of that at all. Let's go to the animal tarot and see what that has to say. All right. So some and mediumship are showing me the otter. And when they see the otter, they see a stoic playfulness where the build, when they take the rock and they're trying to crack it, is to make a fissure. And they're showing me it's actually political. So when they go about their day, they already know about politics because they listen to the animals. The swan in reverse means it is a go about of a reversal of something. When I see the spider, it's something of old that must come about and new. But the bear in reverse means when you go and you hunt and you see the bears looking for fish, it's not a good sign at certain times of the year. Because when they see the elk or the deer or the stag, after they see that, they say, if those animals are coming about and I see a reversal of a circle like this, that means that you can't get what you need done on a daily. So the zebra is like an exotic bear. And when one speaks through one, you can't get it done. So when I'm looking at this and it's an oddity, the cosmic egg, you see the animals, you can't see anything done. Then you look at this is like rare. This is rare that comes through up there. That is how they make their connections. It could be how the turning of the leaves are. It is how the wind blows the leaves. It is how many twigs fell on the ground. It is how everything is behaving around them. So when I see the frog in reverse, that means grotesque. When they see frog, they see grotesque. When they don't see a hummingbird come through, that means no messages, no messengers. The dragon, when I see the eye of this dragon in reverse, it means there is a type of watchful eye that can be around. But when I hear the whale and I see the whale and the patterns of migration, there's something off because even in that area that it was noticed, the way that the timber and the debris fell through the water, and they do this, they're like, I don't even know how it did that. because I didn't even hear it. Look at the rabbit in reverse, upside down. So when you look at it and you see it and you say, there's just something not known. This is not normal. The lamb in reverse means bad spring, bad, um, bad spring. And that is how they correlate, like how it comes down to the months to every couple weeks to how it all plays out. Because then you look like we weren't due for a hurricane. They were due for a hurricane, but they got two and it maxed out. And when they look, that is how quick they are. And it's so right on. It actually annoys people how accurate these people can be. The moth in reverse always is coming up lately. When you see the moth in reverse, it's not the Mothman. It really isn't. You have to excuse me, my camera, my lighting, the sun keeps coming in and out. But when I see this moth in reverse, I can't even get it out right now. It is so hard. There's something of a hunt coming on, but you're not to know. But when I see the deer, there's something of a calmness that comes out of that hunt because there was something else hunting. The bat literally comes swooping in during that. There's some sort of mastery, though, some sort of mastery. And that is how they talk daily, daily. When I see the phoenix, you always know that someone is coming anew and rising above ashes. And it is such a pivotal moment of a picture to actually see everything. That when you see the phoenix in reverse, this is not something new. So with that being said, like them, I'm just stirring it up. I'm just stirring it up. When it comes down to their soups, their that culture is showing me right now as a psychic, as a medium, and reading their energy that it's something that I learned in nursing school, and it went down to the cast iron, and it went down to uh making the stew and it making the soup and making their bread in certain times of the year. It is meant to have more fats in your diet and to have more iron because when you're cooking in cast iron, you actually are leaching the iron properly where you could have proper iron. So, other than that, I hear a halt stop, but I hear a more anew, a more anew. A more anew means for them that they can't get it done. Folklore is the fairies. Folklore is the impish gnomes that come through. It is a type of magic of the earth energy that you can't get it done. They understand earth magic and the way that you should burn your bread and burn your wood. When they say burn your bread, that means if you left your bread in the oven and it burnt, that literally meant you were impeded on so bad it was a cause for war because you wasted your resources. Is something not of a celebration? That's the Three of Cups in reverse to the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. It means it will literally, if they're playing a game, they're going to roll the dice. They're going to see a button or anything and they're going to flip it and they're going to say, yep, I'm already done. So like that, like just like us, if we burn our food, if we can't get something done or anything like that, they're just going to do it in their own way to where it is a type of solitude and hermit mode for them and for whoever impeded them. So, with that being said, that's all I really have to say. I do feel I'm going to have to make a part two of Appalachian and talk about it later. Probably, they're or like they're very strong energy. They hear everything. That's all you need to know. So with that being said, there's no greed. And right here, there's no contentment right now down there. So I would just be what they call still crazy and just stay still and listen, and you will know to go about. So any questions or concerns, go ahead and feel free to email me, send me a message on Telegram. I do offer the classes on Calendly and private readings. And then also with that, uh, go ahead and feel free to sign up. If you feel like I did a good job, donations are accepted. Talk to you soon, and we'll see you soon.